The American public is against the war in Afghanistan, but it took them a little while to get there. Unfortunately, it's 12 years almost into our war in Afghanistan, and now finally the numbers are peaking even more against it. And so I'm referring to an ABC News Washington Post poll. It shows when you break down, was it worth going into Afghanistan in the first place? 28% say that it was worth going in, so that's a very low number. 67% say it's not worth it. 43% say that it has contributed to the country's long-term security. What's also interesting is that a significant chunk of the "it has contributed to the country's long-term security" apparently still believe that it wasn't worth going in. And I think that that's reasonable. You can certainly think that it could help out, but that it wasn't worth it overall, especially when you factor in the sheer amount of money. After all, that money could have been spent in other ways to ensure our security, without costing us so much in terms of how the world views us, how people in Afghanistan view us, and also the lives of all the soldiers and civilians who've died in that conflict. Now, moving on to what the American public thinks about what we should do in the future in regards to Afghanistan. If you ask them, what should our involvement be post-2014, so a little bit over a year in the future, 53% favor keeping a residual force, although that's not defined very specifically, so there's the possibility that people are reading into that what they want. 43% say that U.S. forces should leave altogether. Now, of course, I wish that that number was much higher because I see extremely little potential gain in the future in Afghanistan, but that is a big chunk of the United States. And even the 53% that say we should have a residual force, who knows what they imagine that to actually be? 1,000 troops, 10,000 troops, certainly lower than the current amount that we have. And when you put that together, the 53 and the 43, that doesn't leave a whole lot of people in America who think that we should send 100,000 troops in Afghanistan. So, like I said, it's almost 12 years into the conflict. I wish that Americans had held these positions after a year or two, but this is certainly progress. And what I hope is that people who are approaching the questions now in regard to Afghanistan and say that it wasn't worth it, hopefully they'll take that information and apply that the next time warmongering is going on, because it won't be more than a couple more years, I would imagine, before a politician comes before the American public and says, Iran is a threat, Syria is a threat, whatever country, you can insert whichever country you want, and says we should go in. And I hope that the American public thinks back to our experience over more than a decade in Afghanistan and realizes maybe we should think twice before starting another war.